Here in San Jose, we're endorsing our mayor, Sam Ricardo. He's been pretty good on a couple of things. In particular, right now, he's really leading the charge against Measure B that we're against, and he's really, we owe everything to him. He's running with very little opposition, so he's actually been contributing lots of his campaign money to the No on Measure B. And, you know, in general, he understands that protecting, you know, that urbanizing and growing up rather than sprawling out is the right way to go. And that's the main reason why we're supportive of Sam Ricardo. And same with Council Member Raul Perales. So it's in San Jose, they alternate between the even and the odd districts. This year it's the odd districts that are up. District 7 was a little bit more challenging for us. Frank Wynn has been okay, you know.
We're not in the city of San Jose.
Actually, I think right here we are in San Jose. You may not live in San Jose. So if you're not in San Jose, I'm sorry. This may not be quite as much of interest to you, except San Jose is a big influence on the whole area.
Let him off the hook.
Yeah, okay. At any rate, we went with the incumbent, with preference for the incumbent. And he's been very good at least being open to us and working with us. District 9 is an interesting one because the current council member, Don Rocha, is termed out. So it's wide open. There are like 7 candidates running, something like that. There are several, you know, they're not all what we consider viable. Of what we consider viable, we've chosen Shea Franco Clausen. And I'll get to that a little more, I guess. And for Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, which is an important race, because something I should point out, that these elected representatives, they don't just sit on the city council or the county board of supervisors. We have regional boards, air quality, something called the LAFCO, the Local Area Formation Commission, which kind of sets the borders of cities. So a lot of cities, part of our problem is like Morgan Hill, Gilroy, they want to expand into the agricultural areas. So they want those borders redrawn. Well, these people sit on those boards. And so when we're making a decision about, you know, something I've thought a lot about in trying to help with the decision about this race, was what is Don Rocha going to do on LAFCO? Is he going to let Morgan Hill sprawl into the agricultural lands? And I pointed out these developers that, you know, are giving it money. All in all, he's a good guy. He is a pretty good environmentalist. I think he'll work with us. He's got a strong track record and a well-known quantity through the city of San Jose. But we also really like Susan Ellenberg. Okay, she's coming from what is it, the San Jose Unified?
San Jose Unified Board,
yeah, the education, Board of Education. And she's very bright, and the more we talk to her, you know, the more we can tell she understands the environmental issues. She's a very quick study. She didn't just, you know, regurgitate what she thought we needed to hear. She actually synthesized the information and made some really insightful, you know, thoughts that clearly showed she cares and she knows, you know, that the endorsement team, makes a recommendation, goes to our executive, you know, our larger political committee, and then goes to our executive committee, and then it goes to a state review committee, okay? And we decided, let's endorse both of these two. And again, this one's pretty wide open. There's a lot of viable and intelligent candidates. The news out today, one that we decided not to endorse, and a lot of other, the Labor endorsed, the Democratic Party endorsed Dominic Caserta. The news out today is that, you know, he's a teacher and he's sexually harassed students. He's, you know, there's been other allegations that seem credible. And all of the other Labor and the Democratic Party and these folks that endorsed him are all backing away, dropping their endorsements. Fortunately, we do. Yes?
Did you have information on Susan's campaign contributions to compare and contrast against Don's?
That's a good question. I don't have it here tonight. You can look. I can help if you want.
Yeah, I was just
send some
curious.
email. Yeah, we did some background. I mean, I can't recall anything that scared me about where her money was coming from. To be honest, I don't remember the details.
She's, I can answer
Yeah.
any questions.
Can't
I can answer any questions. So typically when women run for office, a lot of people don't like to donate to them for some reason. So her campaign contributions are mostly friends. And, you know, maybe if you know, I think I remember, I think we actually asked the tennis getters for money, and I think they gave her 75% what they gave the men. So, but I'm happy to help you or send you those 460s, because they're very easy to find, and we make sure that we want everybody to see where the money is coming from, especially with her.
Yeah, if you want to look it up yourself, you can go to this website and you know, put her name in there and it'll pull it up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, where are we at here? So, Shay, you know, basically it was clear that she's always cared about the environment. She's basically a social activist. But again, you know, with some of the other candidates, we could tell that, you know, the environment wasn't something, you know, in the front of their minds, where it was with Shay, and very sophisticated in your discussion about protecting Coyote Valley. It was clear. So protecting Coyote Valley is kind of our primary objective at this time. To convince San Jose not to build it out and sprawl out. This is the open land between San Jose and Morgan Hill, and it's still in their general plan to build out Coyote Valley. So it's really important with our endorsement process that we get candidates and get elected representatives that will not want to build out Coyote Valley. And it was clear that Shay was with us on that. And true with Susan Ellenberg as well. I discussed, you know, what I thought about her already, and same with Don Roja. He actually was, you know, in some of the other areas on sprawl I'm a little concerned about, but he also was strong in that he believes that the protecting Coyote Valley is more important than building it out. Okay. Maybe we should take a little break. How you guys doing? All right? You want to stretch a little bit?
I had a question.
Yes.
What's the proposed source of revenue for Measure 68?
Revenue for
68.
68. Well, typically with these bond measures, they end up, you know, raising general taxes, or you know, they sell bonds to get things moving, to have the money immediately. You know, of course, you've got to pay interest on bonds. But one of the theories behind the bonds is that, you know, these are long-term projects. The beneficiaries are people that, you know, or may not even be born yet. Okay, so having a long-term expense on that is reasonable, but it basically they have to raise the revenue somehow. It's generally through, you know, Yeah, it's your taxes one way or another, you know, but once they have the bond, then they can figure out how to pay for it. It's kind of, yeah.
Where's Coyote Ridge?
Okay,
East
so,
or west?
well, it's south of San Jose. So here, this was a hike we did early this spring.
Was it to the south or west?
Yeah, it's to the south, on the south end of San Jose.
In the
So
coast.
here's downtown San Jose. Yeah, southeast. And so these are Tule elk. They're not deer. They actually were almost extinct, but they discovered back in, like, I think it was like in the 30s or something, they thought they were extinct. Somebody had a few on his ranch, and from that they repopulated. They actually, in this area back in 1978, Henry Coletto wanted to work for the Fish and Wildlife, Fish and Game at that time, I guess. Wanted to release some elk, and none of the ranchers wanted them, but Dave Packard and Bill Hewlett had a big ranch, and they said that they would take some. So out of 20,
You can't vote on the city.
there's a bunch of them. Anyway, so this is just an example of our open space that we'd like to protect, and we think it's threatened by Measure B. So if you guys don't feel the need to stretch, take a break or anything. All right, I'll try to keep going. Keep moving here.
Get home.
All right, so, okay, yeah, you want to get out of here. All right, so Measure B was placed on the ballot by the owner of this property here in Evergreen. Okay, but you see the color is blue. That means the city expects it to be employment lands, and it's designated industrial park. Okay, so it's like office complexes, you know, high-tech campuses, commercial things that the city makes money on. Actually, housing, the city loses money on because they have to provide sewer, they have to provide, you know, police, fire, and they don't make much money on it. Particularly since Prop 13, housing has been a loser for the city. So the city would like to keep it this way. Also, Evergreen has got all of the sprawl already. It's hard to, and the commute goes this way in the morning and this way in the evening, and it's hard to get in and out. And so it would be better to have some jobs right here. There's also anyway, they also, when the city wants to build housing, we're learning that, you know, we need to do things like put it on a transportation corridor, put it by the rail stations, put it by BART. Not out here where there's, you know, you're dependent on the automobile. But the most profitable thing for these developers to do is build luxury homes. So that's what they want to do here. So they decided, you know what, we can pay for signatures, you know, to be gathered and get a ballot initiative. And they were able to do that. They call it Evergreen Senior Homes Initiative. So they say it will be for seniors. But the definition of seniors is that at least one person in 80% of the homes must be age 55 years or older. So it's not like an assisted care facility or, you know, that kind of thing. So we're concerned about this for lots of reasons. You know, that what they do is they exempt themselves from lots of the city rules, like having to pay traffic impact fees, right? You build houses, you know where you're going to have traffic, so the city has a fee to help mitigate that traffic. Well, they were going to exempt themselves from traffic. They sell it as affordable housing, but they actually redefine the city's rules and make it less affordable than it was before. It was low income requirements for a certain percentage. They change it to moderate and higher. I can go a little more in details on that. But the other thing we're concerned about is to create a senior housing overlay for all underutilized employment land. So currently, this is Coyote Valley here, and this is considered employment land right now. We're trying to get the city to redesignate this as open space or agriculture. But by their rules, they'll be able to do their projects in here as well, Coyote Valley. And they exempt themselves from lots of other things. So again, it's the senior housing, it's defined by this Fair Housing Act. And this is just an example of what they do. So their ballot measure is 367 pages long. So it's a challenging read. But if you like search for senior housing overlay, you'll see they do, these are general plan rules. And you see they add these lines, except as permitted by senior housing overlay, except, they just create a bunch of exceptions for themselves. Okay, and they also have a specific plan in Evergreen, that blue property I mentioned up here. So this is their specific thing. But what they do, so this area of the luxury homes will be gated, which is no longer permitted by the city. And then they say at some point in time, it's not defined, they'll provide some affordable units here outside the gates. But again, their definition of affordable has been weakened. So this is what it is now, where this is 8% or very low income, 12% low income. And then the rest is below market rate, whatever you can do to make money. Their definition is to lower the very low to 6%, and then they basically eliminate the low income and replace it with moderate income, which is like 110% of what families make around here. So it's, I think, $128,000 for a four-person home family. But it's concerning because they're selling it as good for seniors, good for veterans, good for, it's affordable. And again, it will apply to lots of different areas within the city. The black areas are just areas that are undeveloped at the moment. The blue areas are also employment lands. And this definition, there is no definition of underutilized employment land. So, it could be a strip mall that they think isn't producing the way it should be, whatever. So it really opens it up to a lot of different areas. And in evaluating this measure, the city did an independent report on, what the fiscal impact would be. And they feel it's going to, the report said it would, based on the black areas here, that it would end up costing the city $24.5 million a year. So, we don't think this is a good idea. So, this is that North Coyote, that blue area in one of those maps, Coyote Valley, that we think would be impacted.
That's where all the housing is going to be now.
Possibly, yes. And we think that this not only has, this impact on Evergreen and a potential impact for other areas in the city, but it's going to encourage these guys, okay, and they're literally billionaires, to, do this in other cities. Yes?
I'm just wondering, how is it that some of them are allowed to redefine what different things mean for their own benefit?
Yeah. Well, the
How
state,
does that happen?
it's the state constitution has environmental laws. We have a California Environmental Quality Act, which projects have to follow and stuff. But it also has a citizen initiative that can basically overwrite these things. It's a citizen initiative that, yeah, if, you know, to be honest, I don't know every, you know, I'm not a lawyer, but basically if you have a citizen initiative, it can override these and basically rewrite the rules.
So the billionaires that are doing this just decide to rewrite the rules and they're allowed to do that?
Yes.
I forget what's the measure.
Well, the rules-
Well, so that's why, so that's
Well,
why,
no, the rule rewriting was already just written, it's not, is the rule rewriting part of Measure B, or were they already rewritten for?
well, the
purposes?
ability to do it was already present. The specific rules that they created for themselves are in Measure B. Yes?
Well,
Okay,
just to be clear, so Measure B would alter the general plan for 2040.
That's true, yes.
So to do that, wouldn't you have to go to CEQA? That's, I guess maybe that's part of it.
Well, no.
But they're
They-
building
they-
in exemptions for all these.
Yeah,
And if the
they're
voters say
exempting
okay,
themselves from
then it's
that.
done.
There is some study that was done, basically a financial impact report. And, you know, but they are avoiding doing that. And CEQA itself doesn't really, you know, if things aren't, you know, good for the environment, CEQA doesn't stop it. It just educates the public and it educates the
Right, but the
politicians.
lead agency is
Yeah.
not it. And I assume the
But that's why-
The lead agency will go along.
Yeah,
lead
well,
agency would be the city.
that's why the League of Women Voters
Cities
is
and counties
against this
generally
thing.
go along.
Right, the League of Women Voters cares about good government, you know? And so they're against it, and, you know, AARP is a national organization, they're not gonna jump into anything, but they're concerned about the impact of this. And you can see, it's like the mayor and every single council member is against this, including, San Jose does have 3 Republicans on the city council. Sierra Club, of course.
It is interesting that ARP is against it because it talks about senior housing.
What's it? Well,
So ARP knows what's really going on.
Exactly. And we were, you know, the Sierra Club has been active, working to get these endorsements. You know, I've been busy working on this, and not just me.
Well, I think the secret is to connect with the voters, the general population that this is.
Oh, yeah, and once we talk to them, once we can give the word to them, it's clear, people figure it out, that this isn't the right. That's one reason why I'm glad you folks are here, so you can understand the details of this, so you can help us get out the word, because we don't have, the only money we have is basically Sam Licardo gave us some of his campaign cash for a few door hangers. Okay, and he did hopefully if you watch Channel 11 News tonight, you'll see his press conference that he did in front of the Veterans Memorial with a bunch of veterans, and I was there, so maybe you can see me on the video.
But every day, literally every day, I'm getting in the mail their support measures and their argument.
This is what I've received so far.
And it's just, they're inundating people.
Yes, and there's a senior and somebody who looks like he could use some housing. Okay. I do, so one thing is, so the city council was worried. These guys, they knew, you know, we all knew these guys are billionaires, they're gonna stuff your mailboxes with this stuff, make it sound great, you know, for seniors and veterans. So the mayor and the city council put Measure C on the ballot. They did a charter amendment that basically would strengthen the urban edge. This is meant to be